To order this evening's Select Board meeting, Town of Middleton, here at Fuller Meadow Elementary School for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, which is an amended agenda. I want to remind everybody that the meeting is, as always, being both visually and audio recorded. The first item of business will be to ask Justin to go over warrant number 2510 and Facilities Project 48. Justin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have before you warrant 2510 dated November 14th, 2024. On the payroll side of things, totaling in just under $900,000. Some high-level things to point out. There's just over $30,000 expense for overtime for the fire department. That's making up about a third of their payroll within this warrant cycle, and that's reflective of the ongoing brush fires, unfortunately. Police, you'll see just under $13,000 in overtime, and then mercifully zero on the snow line, so we'll continue to monitor. On the bills payable side of things, coming in at $4,131,200. A couple items. Under the DPW, you'll see $146,000 to replace the sander. That was an annual town meeting appropriation through the capital plan, as well as just under $40,000 to, I don't think fully close out yet, but a majority of the remainder of what was left for the Boston Street sidewalk. So they did an excellent job down there. A huge thank you. I will speak up and project that way.
I also can't hear you. So
Okay.
Please be louder in general.
Sure. For the fire department, $19,000 for a Lucas replacement. That I believe is a chest compression device, also an annual town meeting item that came through on the capital plan. On the IT side of things, a $208,000 fiber optic system appropriation. That was a state grant regional IT project. So that was state funded to expand our fiber network as part of the fiscal 23 community compact. And on the treasurer line, you'll see $2,775,000 in change for our Masco assessment, rounding out warrant 2510. Additionally, there is facilities project warrant 48, much smaller in comparison, $5,608 on this particular warrant, just professional services hanging over or remaining from August and September. I would anticipate the next large payment to come through because they've made significant progress down there. But for this round of things anyway, about $5,600.
Perfect. Thank you. Take a motion to accept the warrant.
I'll make a motion to accept warrant number 2510 and Facilities Project FP 48 as written.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr.
Should
Chair,
be a roll call for all. I'm sorry. Deb, can I ask you to call a roll
Sure.
call for all of this evening's votes?
Costa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
is that too loud?
Passes unanimously.
Sure.
Next item will be to accept the minutes for the open session of November 5th, 2024, and executive session.
Just the open session.
Oh, we don't
Just
have the
open.
executive right now? So, to accept the open session minutes of November 5th, excuse me. A motion?
I'll make a motion to accept executive session minutes for November 5th, 2024.
Open session.
Open.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? No?
Roll call.
Costa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
Okay. And next, we'll ask Justin to give us his town administrator updates and reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, it appears I left my update on the printer, but I have it in my email, so we can come back around to that later in the
I got
meeting.
you.
Oh, please hold. Thank you. We are in day 24 of the 2024 brush fire response. A huge thank you to our team here at the Middleton Fire Department, as well as the leadership of Chief Lacose. The planning board will be holding a public hearing on the citizens petition received pertaining to the MBTA zoning bylaw citizens petition tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. in this room. Wreaths Across America is set to take place on Saturday, December 14th at the Oakdale Cemetery. Also, thank you to our VSO, Nathan Stedman, for an exceptional Veterans Day ceremony held earlier this month. It was very well attended. Congrats to our Assistant Assessor, Kate Davies, who was awarded the Jeremiah J. Noonan Scholarship. That goes towards financial support for education for her MAA designation. So congrats to her, very deserving. A thank you to our Board of Assessors for all the work that goes into the annual tax classification hearing that you'll see upcoming on the agenda. The team at 195 is officially back in the building, so I just wanted to thank them for their patience over the past couple months as we recovered from that fire at the DPW, and also a huge thank you to our DPW Director, Paul Goodwin, who did a lot of the project management as we went through that process, and it included, ceiling tiles, paint, new carpet and flooring in a lot of areas, but also some more complex work, checking structural beams that were directly above where the fire was, significant roof repair, and so that was a lot to accomplish in a short period of time, so very well done to that team. Also Scott Fitzpatrick, our building commissioner, who was checking in on that work and making sure they were pulling permits and everything as we went through that process. It was a huge chunk of extra work for them, so thank you. And then lastly, just a reminder, if you haven't heard, special town meeting will take place at 7 p.m. on Thursday, December 12th of next month.
If you want.
Yeah, and I can roll right into that. So also amended on the agenda this evening, there's a local state of emergency declaration. So I just wanted to make reference provided by Chief Twist, actually, from his era, where then Town Administrator Ira Singer just dropped a very severe Boston accent there. Ira Singer declared a local state of emergency back in 2010, and so in the same authority within my office, effective Sunday, October 27th, I would like to retroactively declare a state of emergency pertaining to the 2024 Middleton brush fires. Additionally, while not necessarily required, I would appreciate a vote of support from the select board, just as we go through the process with MEMA or FEMA. If there are any opportunities for us to recoup some of those resources, it's sometimes helpful to have a vote.
I'll make a motion to support this state of emergency declaration.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion a second, if you would, Deb.
Yep, Costa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
Thank you very much, and also it's worth noting, I didn't see him back there, but Chief Lacos is here in the room, so while he's not typically here for this type of thing, since we have him, just a quick round of applause for him and the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just maybe a quick update.
Yeah, come on up. I missed you in your neon jacket.
What's that?
I missed you in your neon jacket.
Yeah, right. So good evening, everybody. So just a quick update. The most recent fire, the one up on Lake Street, that is contained. We do have some issues off of Old Hunter Lane. There's a debris area that we hit pretty hard with the water drops with the National Guard. Unfortunately, that is still smoking, but we're checking it on a regular basis, and like I said, the fire is contained. The problem now is we have another fire up on North Liberty Street, the Boxford State Forest, which involves Boxford, North Andover, and Middleton. And as of tonight, there's a total of 517 acres that are burning in that area, and that's not including the 100-plus acres that were burning last week in North Andover. So total, there's over 700 acres that have burnt up in that area, of which 204 acres is in Boxford, 186 is in North Andover, and 151 acres is in Middleton. So unfortunately, that is going to be that's our current problem, and we'll be in there for quite a few days, I would imagine. I know we're supposed to get some rain Thursday night into Friday. It'll help, but I don't think it's going to, put it out in its entirety. I mean, we're just at the point now where we're just basically wetting the perimeters and trying to contain the fire. I'm not sure what the percentage of the fire is contained right now, but I can tell you that just recently it was just over 500 acres. So unfortunately, that's going to be our next challenge. So, but as far as the other fire, it's the one on Lake Street that is contained, and so in good shape.
Besides rain, is there anything we can do to help you?
No, I think just, there's going to be some big expenses with this, between, manpower, equipment, we lost some fire hose, we've had some truck issues, but, I know everyone's working really hard, I know people are tired, people are burnt out, but I can tell you that, working with all the area departments and, when we did the task force activation, I mean, we had trucks from as far away as Plymouth, Plimpton, Lakeville, some towns I've never even heard of, and just really how everybody came together with a common goal to, get the job done it was incredible to see. And I know in my career, I've never seen something of this magnitude. And, between the Lake Street fire, which was 242 acres, and now this one, which is 150 acres on our end, that's a big chunk of land. And unfortunately, tomorrow when we go back, it's probably going to be even bigger. Just, it's so dry, and, we wet down areas and we soak it, and just half hour later, it pops up again. It's just burning deep in the ground, and see what happens.
Just know that we all appreciate everything
Yeah, I
that
mean-
is being done, and
I mean, the
we have our
community's been,
thanks.
community's been fantastic, and, we appreciate everything that everyone has done, and, we'll just take it day at a time and see what happens. So, all right, any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
For balance, I think, for what it's worth, I mean, thoughts are with the residents who have had to suffer through, persistent smoke and smell and inconvenience. I don't know what that does for you, but, I hope, just let you know, we're all thinking of you as well, so.
And I would add, Mr. Chair, at this point in time, we're coordinating with the towns of North Andover, North Reading, Boxford, and Danvers. I had a call today with the town administrators and town managers in those communities, and we're talking about coordinating our response on the administrative side of things in terms of communicating with our State House delegation, Senator Tarr, Rep. Jones' office, Rep. Cairns, as well as the governor and lieutenant governor. We've pulled all of these people into that conversation, and we anticipate to have a broader, more regional response in the coming weeks.
Okay, great.
Very
That's good
good.
to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. If that's all with that, then we'll move on to item number 2, which is our public comment section of the evening. And is there anyone here who wishes to make public comment at this time? Go ahead, Mr. Currier.
Trevor Currier. I'm here on behalf of the Masconomet Regional School Committee. I just wanted to come by and update you guys. Earlier in October, we successfully completed our bargaining with the Masconomet Teachers Association. So we are steering clear from everything you're seeing on the news. We think we came away with some wins. They had some wins there, so it was a really good process that I think both sides were content with the outcome. We still are in negotiations with our paraprofessional unit. That's ongoing. And then just some other updates. The enrollment numbers came out. I don't know if Justin and Jackie had got those yet, but we will probably be having that discussion at a very soon future meeting. Middleton's had the biggest decline in enrollment at Masco. Essex Tech took nearly double the amount of kids they usually take, and a lot of that came out of Middleton. So the enrollment numbers were interesting this year. And then just a capital update. I know that's kind of the big thing that we've been doing for the past few years now. Every Friday for the past at least 6 weeks, the District Capital Improvement Subcommittee has been meeting. We've fleshed out a lot of the plans, and at our last meeting, I know I had sent the presentation that was presented to the chair and our town administrator, a kind of a broad overview of what we're thinking of. So I hope the members get a chance to see that presentation, and me and Justin are trying to pin down a date where I can come and the other Masco reps can come and answer questions. So if you want to take a look at that presentation and just get some questions ready for me, be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Anybody else? Okay, thanks again, Trevor. All right, item number 3 is going to be our update for the Middleton Municipal Campus. Justin, do you have anything new updates?
Nothing of substance to add at this time. Yeah.
Other than it's going up pretty fast.
They're
Yeah,
cruising.
it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's looking good. I'm loving seeing
Yeah.
the
right.
weather boards up and getting it weather tight. Windows will be nice.
We are on track. It's coming together quick, though.
Wonderful. All right. So if we can, let's move on to item number 4, which is annual fiscal year 2025 tax classification hearing and a review of the fiscal year 2024 final valuations to be approved by the Department of Revenue. I guess I'll,
Well, before you start, I'll move to open the public.
oh, I'm sorry, yep.
I'll second that.
Motion.
Costa,
Yeah.
Yes.
Rick,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes,
Brian,
yes.
and I am a yes.
Okay, pass unanimously. And I guess, Brad, can I hand it over to you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see everybody here tonight.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Deb. Just wanted to bring up a couple of points. You received my package for the letter to the selectmen in advance and the statistics for this year. I think the one thing I wanted to point out, for the first time ever, that the average assessed value in Middleton has eclipsed the town of Boxford, which I think is a pretty interesting statistic, given...
Brad, excuse me, can you speak up so the audience can hear you? They can't hear you in the back.
This doesn't help?
That does not amplify, that just records. So if you can sing out.
Can you hear me back there? No? All right. I'll try to speak up louder if that's good. Is this a good level? All right. As I just stated, this is the first time that the town of Middleton average assessed value eclipsed the town of Boxford. We had eclipsed Topsfield 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. And despite that, our projected tax bill is considerably less than the other 2 towns. And that's just one point I wanted to make to them. All right? So why don't we get started on the classification hearing? Let's see. The role of the Select Board is the information is intended to provide the Board of Selectmen with the necessary information to conduct a public hearing on the tax classification options available under Massachusetts general laws. During the Commonwealth mandated tax classification hearing, the Board of Selectmen must vote on the following in order to establish a tax rate: the open space discount, the residential exemption, small commercial exemption, and the classification, otherwise known as shifting of the tax rate. In the package here, I have put some information as far as total value of the community and some interesting statistics on the next, some interesting statistics to some people. The average single-family value increased 2.94% this year. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Bear with me, I can't see what these are without them from this
Brad, if you
distance.
look, it's on the screen in front of you as well.
Oh, that helps. Yes, okay. Jesus, this is getting worse every year. It's terrible.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, yes. The average single-family increased by 2.94%, a lot less than the previous 2 years, which was a combined amount of about 34%. So a lot less this year. Total value of the town is now at $3,284,118,554. That is the high mark ever. So hopefully things continue that way. Okay, open space discount. Open space is land maintained in an open or natural condition which contributes significantly to the benefit and enjoyment of the public and which is not subject to a permanent conservation restriction, held for the production of income, or taxable under the provisions of Chapter 61 Forestry, 61A Agricultural Land, or 61B Recreational Land. The Board of Selectmen may discount, next slide. The Board of Selectmen may discount up to 25% of the open space share of taxes. Of the 351 municipalities in Massachusetts, 12 classify property as open space, 2 in Essex County. And you can see the list there. the Board of Assessors has determined that Middleton does not have any eligible open space parcels. Most large parcels are currently in chapter program anyways. Do you want to do the,
Do we want to
Vote on
vote
this, yeah.
Vote as we're going, or-
individually
Yeah,
or
let's vote on
all at
this, yeah,
once?
yeah.
So I will make a motion to set the open space discount at 0.
Second?
Before we
Yeah.
vote, we should ask if anyone in the audience wants to make any comments.
Any comment on this portion of the,
On the open space.
in the open space? Oh, okay. Deb, please?
Costa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
All right, pass unanimously, thank you. Okay, Brad, sorry, yep, next.
residential exemption? The Board of Selectmen may adopt an exemption of up to 35% to shift the residential class tax burden from lower assessed properties that are the principal residence of a taxpayer to higher assessed properties and properties that are not the principal residence of a taxpayer. There are currently 18 municipalities allowing residential exemption. Note that most of these communities are in large cities or oceanfront communities with large rental or second home inventories. We have an example of this on the next page, how that works. And
Right. So I will move to set the residential exemption at 0.
Second?
Anyone else have any comment? Oh, okay. Deb, roll call vote.
Costa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay, pass unanimously. Thank you. Brad?
Okay, the small commercial exemption. The Board of Selectmen may adopt an exemption of up to 10% to shift the commercial class tax burden from eligible parcels to ineligible parcels. Eligible parcels must be Class 3 commercial property, be occupied solely by a business with an average annual employment of 10 or more under all locations during the prior calendar year. Assessors may determine annual employment for a sole proprietorship or partnership. For all other businesses, they must rely solely on the determination of the Director of Labor and Workforce Development, and have an assessed valuation of $1 million or less before the application of the exemption. The following communities have adopted the exemption. There's not a lot of them. This hasn't changed in the last couple of years from what I could determine. The mechanics of the small commercial exemption are similar to how the residential exemption works. An annual application process is required confirming payroll information. So,
Okay.
I'll move to set the small commercial exemption at 0.
Second?
All right. And before we vote, anyone have any input on this item? No. Okay, please, Deb.
Costa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a
All
yes.
right, pass unanimously. Thank you.
certainly last but not,
Swanson, yeah.
last but not least, classification. An amendment to the Massachusetts Constitution endorsed by the electorate in 1978 resulted in the Classification Act. This act requires municipalities to classify real property into one of 4 classes according to use: residential, open space, commercial, and industrial. Cities and towns that are certified as assessing property at full and fair cash value may elect to shift the tax burden among the major property classes within certain limits established by law. The adoption of different rates does not change the total tax levy. It just merely changes who's paying for it, and who's share the total levy to be borne by each class. The share of the levy raised by commercial industrial classes and personal property may be increased 50% as long as the residential and open space classes raise at least 65% what they would have raised without the shift. Of 351 communities in the Commonwealth, 110 shift the tax rate. Of the 110, 71 shift over 1.5. In Essex County, you can see the communities that shift the rate. Note that most of these communities are large cities or large towns, and only 2 of them shift under 1.5. That would be Linfield and Gloucester. Let's see. can skip, there's really not much to discuss there, so. The minimum residential factor, or RMF, established by the Commissioner of Revenue is used to make certain that the shift of the tax burden complies with the Classification Act. If the minimum residential factor would be less than .65, the community cannot make the maximum shift and must use a CIP factor of less than 150. In Middleton, the Select Board may shift the town's tax burden from the residential class to the CIP classes as long as the shift does not exceed the minimum residential factor, which this year is 90.448. The following pages contain information on the development of the minimum residential factor and the impact it would have. So shifting the rate here shows what taxes would be paid by each class. Next page would show the tax rate shift implications on the average class and the value, or average class values. And the next page, I think, gives the best example. These are 4 residential properties, 4 commercial industrial properties. And what we've done here is just done a by 10 by 10s what the shift would be. If you look along here, which is hard to do from this angle,
I have the arrow, Brad, if that helps, if you want to guide me. Oh, wait,
go to line 2. I think that's probably
Yeah.
the 110 shift.
here.
Yeah, if you go along there, you'll see that the average home, if you shifted 10%, would have a reduction in taxes of $221. But if you went to the 52 Main Street, which is a similar value, a little bit higher, you would increase that tax bill by $1162. And then you can follow that example along for different values of properties. I don't want to bore anybody with doing that.
Could you explain that again, please? What you just said slower.
Sure. So the average home, if you shifted 10%, that average home would save $221 on their taxes. But a similar property, if you go over to that 52 South Main Street, where the value is just slightly higher by about $10,000, you would shift their taxes up $1,162. Follow that? Okay.
So can I just
Sure.
interject here?
Sure.
So the residential for this scenario, based on the 10%, would save $221 annually. But the shift of the $221 that the residence is saving is shifting over to the commercial industrial property, $1,162. So it's not an even swap.
The reason being is that there's so many more residential properties so that you have the dollar amount saved, but it's divided by, there's five times or more as many residential properties, so for every 1,000 that a commercial pays extra, that's divided by 5 households, so they'd save 200. And then there's options, we can do 10%, 20%, there's a different options as you go down the chart of, and all those options are available. The option given was a 10%, you can go 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%.
I mean, you can do an increment of, of ones. I do tens just for
Yeah.
the sake of,
Keep it simple.
keep it simple. So,
So you can actually increase the commercial rate by 20%.
Or up to, or 30, or 40, or 50,
30 or 40,
anything that,
to take the burden away from the
Right.
residents.
right.
Correct.
Yeah, all those options are on the table. From the first one, the first one is the status quo, the second one's a 10%, the third one's a 20, the fourth one's a 30, fifth one's a 40, and the last one is a 50. So all options are available.
and like I said, it could be 5%, 15, 17, any sort of number, but I just used these for this demonstration.
Well, I don't understand why this board wouldn't agree that the taxpayer needs to have a relief on their tax burden. I just don't understand. I thought about this a while
May I
Yeah,
just get
can I
your
ask you
name?
the-
My
and
name
street
is
address for
Marie
the minutes?
Janiak, and I live at...
Thanks.
Would you come up to the microphone just so they can catch you on the recording, because it is a public hearing? I apologize, but we do need it for the minutes. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So I don't understand, Marie Janiak, 93 Fuller Pond Road.
Thank you.
I don't understand why the Select Board does not favor this commercial increase or industrial increase in the town of Middleton. Today and for the last few days, I've been taking a look at the number of businesses between Market Basket and Richardson Green. I assume, I mean, I couldn't stand there and count them all. There must be at least 75 businesses, at least. I'm sure there's more. And I would think that they are receiving help from the police. They're using up our water. They're receiving help from fire, the fire department. Why aren't they paying a little bit more so that that burden that we bear, they bear it too, but on a smaller percentage. Why aren't they paying more for that courtesy? I just don't understand why that isn't so.
Well, one of the biggest reasons would be, and you mentioned off a few things, those services they receive, but one of the largest ones is they don't have any children in the school system.
Neither do we at Fuller Pond.
Neither do I, even either, but, as
So I think that's a moot
paying
point.
residential tax. And it's a kind of thing where, I mean, while it might look attractive to go to the bottom and try to grab $1,000 savings, but again, like Jeff pointed out, the pool of commercial is so small that they're going to make up all the difference. So if you want to, again, so if you look at the percent of the first one, so the average home and the 10% would be $164 a year savings on your tax rate. Each taxpayer on the commercial side would see an increase of $1,162.
Which I'm sure that's not going to kill anybody.
No,
the
but,
commercial
I mean,
side.
for putting that now think about all those buildings you saw, all those businesses, they don't own those businesses.
Right.
They're
I know
paying
that.
leases.
Right.
Right. So the owner of the property isn't going to pick up that cost. It's going to put it on top of the small business owner.
So then what happens? The small business goes out of business?
Well, what they would do, they do it in terms of, when the time comes that they can raise the rental agreement, raise the rate, they raise the rate.
And that's how they'll get it back.
That's how the owners would
The
get it back.
owners would get it back.
Correct.
Well, I think that with everything that, our tax rate that went up, and that it'll probably go up again with our new campus, I think we need some help. I think the residents in Middleton need some help with this, and I think the help that we can get is, the only help that we can get is probably from the commercial and industrial segments of our community.
May I interject something here? Besides the commercial industrial property, it's also personal property. So if you own a business and you're subject to personal property tax, you would see that increase as well. And that's not going back to the landlord, that's coming right out of the business. I just want you to understand that, too.
Yes, I do
And
understand.
it also is things like the pipeline, correct?
Public utilities,
So the utilities, which we have the gas, we're burdened with the gas pipeline that goes through Middleton and through Danvers. That same pipeline, they're paying, I don't know what's the shift in Danvers, 1 point?
I don't
Is it
know.
on here? So they're paying likely 1.5 times as much tax per linear foot of that pipeline in Danvers as they do in Middleton. So it's not just the businesses, we would collect more from the big utilities.
And the other thing with utilities, any increases they have in taxes, they're just pushing back through rates. So you're paying that way, too, so.
So basically, our hands are tied.
I'm not,
No, that's
Not
what this
saying that.
meeting is about.
I'm just giving you, that's the facts. I mean, we're blessed that we have Middleton Electric here, so the electric rates are cheaper here than most other communities, so. That is a benefit.
And the businesses here, because we're on septic, the businesses here, water bills are half what they would be if those, so we get our water from the town of Danvers. The businesses in Middleton's water bills are approximately half of the water bills from the businesses in Danvers on the same, getting water from the same place because they have to pay a sewer charge. The businesses in Middleton have the advantage of not having to pay a sewer charge, so that's a savings. On top of the lower taxes, their water bills are half of the neighboring Danvers.
Can I,
And then conversely, the fact that we don't have public sewerage here in Middleton puts a burden on, another burden on the reason why we only have 15% probably of businesses in town for residential, because it's a lot cheaper for a business to hook up to a water hose basically in the town of Danvers or Peabody than it takes to set up, establish, and all the permitting and stuff that one needs to put sewage in Middleton, because it's private, so it's far more, so it's, the hands are tied, it's,
Well, I'm thankful for that option. I'm thankful for that resistance for more business, because what's happening to this town? I mean, it's just stores and businesses all over 114. That's all we have now. It's changed dramatically.
Rick, may I speak?
Sure.
Jackie, can we go back to the beginning of this, to the pie? So, if everyone can look at this piece of pie, the town of Middleton is in fact a bedroom community. We are not a North Andover, we are not a Lawrence, we are not a Danvers. If we wanted this pie to shift into being the town of Danvers because of the amount of commercial, industrial, and personal property, our percentage of that residential would be a lot less. But it's the choice of this town that we are a bedroom community. Many people come to this town for the schools. They come to this town for the rural. They don't want to be a Danvers. So that's by choice. With this piece of pie, you can see where the levy dollars are going. That yellow or orange, I'm not sure what color that is, that's the amount of residential properties in that largest piece of the pie. The magenta color, that's our personal property amount. That's what, 1.7%? And then the commercial is the darker green, and our industrial's darker green, and the commercial is the green. Where our commercial, industrial, and personal property don't even make up 12% of our levy. It's less. That being said, when you have a small bedroom community, and this is my opinion, and you have a lot of mom and pop stores, I'm not saying the bigger ones that we've recently had built, but the smaller ones, what happens to the small mom and pop stores? What happens? They get torn down, and we end up with some big commercial building? Or do we want to stay a small bedroom community? That's a choice.
Mr. Chair, if I could just interject some other information, or?
Costa.
2/3 of town's budget goes to education. Boxford, Topsfield, and Middleton have the same three school districts, the elementary, Masco, and Essex Tech. And as Brad showed at the beginning of his presentation, the average single home tax bill in Boxford is $1,408 higher than in Middleton, and at Topsfield is $1,791 higher than in Middleton. And that as impressive as our efficiency is, you also take into account that the debt service that we are paying is $4 million. It's $4 million in FY '25. It will slowly, decrease, over time, not very much, to about 3.7 in 2034. Boxford's debt service in FY '25 is 1.5 million. Topsfield's is 1.1 million. So take all of that into account, and we have a significantly lower average single-family tax bill. Why? Because we have the business community that we have. They are keeping the residential taxes low. And since 2/3 of the budget goes to education, I don't see a reason to treat the business community unfairly by further shifting the tax rate and increasing their burden when most of the taxes goes to a service that they can never take advantage of.
Well, I'd like to say something.
Mr. Chair, if you can remind people to come up and say their name and street address,
Yep,
please.
my name is Lisa Sheehan. I'm at 73 Fuller Pond Road. The fact is true, what you said. However, they also make money in these businesses. We reside in these homes. So they are coming to Middleton probably because the tax rate is low. And I love Richardson's. My kids were all employed there. It's a great place. But the fact is, it's a large dairy. It creates a lot of money. So why am I paying the same tax rate as a large company? Market Basket makes a lot of money. TJ Maxx makes a lot of money. I mean, I give them money because we frequent those stores. But the fact remains, they're making money. I'm residing here, and there's a difference. I'm also in real estate, and Linfield's tax rate, they're also a bedroom community, and they have a commercial tax rate. So I'm really unclear as to why Middleton hasn't come around a little bit and say, well, you know what, we are growing, we're getting a lot more commercial people, so maybe we should up the tax rate because to alleviate some of the burden on the residential taxpayers. So I'm not clear why we're not seeing that point at all.
It used to be 30% commercial
Back in the day.
30 years ago. And now we're 17%.
But still, there's still a reason to have a commercial rate in every town. And it's simple. It's because they make money. We're not making money in our homes.
But our life is easier because they are here. I moved to Middleton instead of Boxford because I could go shop and not take a half
I
hour.
did the same thing. I built a house here in '99. I've been here a very long time. I've seen this community change over and over and over again. But the point is, in reasonable terms, the time has come to divide that and make a commercial rate and a residential rate. It makes no sense to not look in that direction and just look around it. I mean, Middleton's taking a lot of hard stances and about their positioning in the state and what they want to do. But now I think it's really time for Middleton to be more comprehensive in residential, industrial, and commercial tax rates. And I think that's something that we really need to start looking at, because the tax rate has gone up. You've been here a long time. I've been here a long time. I pay now as much as I paid for my home on Eddington Street 10 years ago to live at Fuller Pond as far as taxes go. So the tax rate has increased, and we're all, shouldering that burden. But that's all I wanted to say.
I would say, and thank you, I would say if the percentage wasn't as dramatic as it is, residential versus commercial, then a shift would be better absorbed by more people. You mentioned Linfield. I don't know what their percentage of commercial is to residential, but they have an awful lot more than the town of Middleton has.
Marketplace,
You know.
Route 1.
And I was going to say, and you mentioned you're in real estate, and you understand too that the taxes often go up based upon what?
Value.
The values of the homes recently being sold.
Right, but at the same token, it's a balance. You have commercial rate and you
Right.
have residential rate. We're one of very few towns, bedroom or city or town, whatever, that doesn't have a commercial rate.
Only, I think Brad's information was a third of the communities classify the rate in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we're in the majority by having a single tax rate, not in the minority.
Probably if I may, Mr. Chair, Linfield is probably the only exception. All the other communities around here are very large towns with a very large commercial base. And I think it's mainly because of the marketplace that they're hitting pretty hard there.
That is the reason.
But did the marketplace have a tax?
They had a commercial rate before Marketplace.
Did they have a TIF?
I don't believe they did.
I-
If they did, it was a minor shift, very minor.
But they had one, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But I don't believe they did.
Okay, well, I'm gonna double check and I'll let the board know.
But I think,
But I still
Was-
stand.
was that a TIF agreement with the?
I don't believe Marketplace was a TIF.
Okay, somehow I thought.
I'm not recalling it being.
They did have a deal at the beginning that changed the tax structure in the early years. I don't know if it was an official TIF.
But until built out, once it was fully built out, then
Yeah,
that went away.
first 3 years or something.
But my point is that's the exception in Essex County with a small town. I mean, that Linfield is bigger than Middleton considerably, value-wise. But that's probably the closest example. All the rest, Danvers, Peabody, North Andover, they're much larger communities with much larger commercial industrial base. So just making that point.
All right, what else? Yep.
Chris Richardson, 5 Jersey Lane. First, I'd like to thank the Select Board for year after year keeping it a flat rate. I believe it is the fair rate. One of the reasons why Costa brought it up earlier, approximately 2/3 of the town budget is the school system. The commercial base never has the benefit to use the school system or gets a benefit from the school system. And so I went on to the Tri-Town School Union's website today. The population K through 6 in Howe Manning and Fuller Meadow is 667 students currently. The elementary school budget for year ending 2025 is $15,312,000. This comes to $23,000 per student in that school's the cost to the town. And Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's a single-family home in Middleton that can send 2 kids to the school system and pay for itself. It's all getting supplemented from elsewhere. There are very few houses in town that can send just 1 kid to the school system and pay for the other town services that are being supplied by the town. I'll use my family as an example. Don't get upset with me because I'm a huge drain on the town. But I have 4 kids in the school system. The cost just to educate my kids is $92,000 this year. This number does not include any other of the town services, police, fire, Department of Public Works, administration. Obviously, the taxes on my house don't come anywhere near paying for my family. I'm thankful we have the commercial base that can significantly supplement the school budget. I do not believe, but I do not believe that we should have the commercial base, which I got to add is a non-voting base. Only the residents can raise the budget by the vote. The commercial base can never vote yes or no to any budgetary item. But I don't believe the commercial base should pay more money than the people using 100% of the services. I'd also like to point out, just 2 weeks ago, we had a very well-attended pumpkin festival in town. It was paid for by local businesses. Next week, Middleton is having a turkey trot, paid for by local businesses. You'll drive around town, see all the signs up in front of their stores. The week after next, the Chief Wills Committee is putting on the Winter Festival, paid for by local businesses. There's a long list of events and activities that are paid for or substantially paid for by Middleton businesses. The Chief Wills Day Family Festival, the fireworks, the Middleton Soccer, Middleton Baseball, Middleton Softball, Middleton Basketball, the Rail Trail. We got Innovative Waste here in the back. They provide trash pickup at all our fields for no cost to the town, no cost to the taxpayer. These are just the things that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's many, many more things. And I'll leave you with the last anecdote. I saw my daughter wearing a Fun Run T-shirt this weekend. I'm not sure if anyone here knows what the Fun Run is, but it's the single biggest fundraising event for the Middleton PTO. When she turned around, there's 20 to 25 businesses on the back of her T-shirt. Now, I happen to be a sponsor of it, so I know the cost of it. Every business has to pay $500 to $1,000 to be on the back of that T-shirt. So that is a substantial boost to the school system and to the PTO. My point being, the Middleton businesses give back tremendously while also paying for services they do not use or will never use. I ask that you please keep the rates the same.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Did you have anything else to add, Brad, or anything?
Nope, I'm all set. Oh, no, I'll just say thanks after you're done.
Okay. All right. So no further discussion. We'll take a motion.
So I'll move to maintain a single tax rate as in the past.
I'll second that.
Before the vote, I would just say that I would support a small shift, nothing drastic. A 110 shift, I think, would be appropriate at where our town is at this point, as a show of good faith to our taxpayers that funded the facilities project, and then were asked to come back in an override for more money, and they gladly provided that money. And I think here we have the opportunity to give even a little bit of that back, and I would not support a even tax rate. I think a 10% shift would be affordable to the businesses and a show of good faith to our residents.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
You call a roll call vote,
Yep.
please?
Costa?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay, it passes. 4-1. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brad.
I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank my board, which I have 2 members here tonight, and my staff, which I have 1 member still here, for their efforts this year. It's been a tough year with a software conversion. A lot of work got done. And also I want to thank other departments for their cooperation this year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you back.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
See you Thursday.
With that, we'll move on to item number 5, which is our fiscal 25 through 29 goals. If you would, Justin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the interest of time, I'm just going to cover the highlighted portions. Anything that's not highlighted is carrying over from the previous year, and we covered it in a recent meeting. But if anybody has questions as we go along, please feel free to stop me. Just going to give it
Yep.
30 seconds. Brian, can you still hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right, so starting off in your packet on number 2, implement long-view planning initiatives via planning board meetings and the town website. Utilize these studies to link and leverage grant funding. That's something that we've talked about a lot over the past year and a half or so, is identifying needs in the community and then linking resources to those needs, preferably that don't come directly from the Middleton taxpayer. So what we have here is a period of performance from fiscal 25, the upcoming fiscal year, through fiscal 27, with 3 milestones highlighted, fiscal '25 being a Route 114 Northern Corridor study. So that would be a study stem to stern throughout all of 114. Fiscal '26, or excuse me, through the northern portion of 114. Fiscal '26 would be the Middleton Square Town Center study, talking about how those squares interact with each other, potential pedestrian improvements, and other enhancements that can better complement, I suppose, the residential and commercial development that will eventually come in at the former Angelica site. And then fiscal '27 kicking off a new master plan review process. The current master plan was intended to carry us through Middleton's 300th year, which is in 2028. So typically a good master plan process will take about a year and a half, 2 years. So we want to be mindful of that. And these are all items that also coincide with the arrival of our new planner, Anna, who is very excited to dig into some of these items with the planning board. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right, category 4, we added fiscal '26 delivering an IT system for the new public safety and town hall buildings that will communicate with the rest of the town network. Jackie's been doing a lot of work on that as our IT czar. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
I just want to thank the board for the support. We've had a small amount of local funding for this project, but most of this project has been possible by the relationship we have with Danvers IT, as well as the North Shore Regional IT Collaborative and the Commonwealth. We've been very lucky to get a lot of grants to put in our municipal fiber, but there's been a lot of positive progress on that. And this will continue as we move into our new municipal campus with connections to our elementary schools as well. We recently connected the fiber network to the regional emergency dispatch. So a lot of good redundancy and security for our team. But special thank you to Danvers IT Director Colby Cousins, our liaison Liam Welch, and Captain DeShane from Middleton Fire, who, amongst being out in the brush fire right now, has been an integral player of seeing this be realized. And finally, MELD, who have worked with us as partners as we do all that work.
All right.
Thank you, Jackie. Item 5, 2 highlighted items, fiscal '25 to '27, building a pipeline of engaged and knowledgeable volunteers and linking their experience with pertinent boards and committees. Thankfully, we're very well staffed on volunteer boards and committees, but it's good to keep a deep roster and to also encourage new voices and viewpoints and whatnot into the room and invite them to the table. And then also developing and holding a Citizens Academy, which Jackie, if you'd like to speak a little bit about that as well.
Sure. This is something some of the board might recall from when I first came to town a few years ago. It's something that a lot of communities have taken on as a way to engage with residents, help them engage with our staff, and do a bit of work on how municipal finance works, the town meeting process, how some of the department functions work. I think it's a really good time. We have a really, as Justin said, a full roster of boards right now, but there's a lot of folks that are in multiple roles, a lot of folks that are starting to retire from their volunteer service. We appreciate all of them, but we really want to work and engage with residents and help people understand how we do what we do. So we're looking to do this likely in the fall of 2025. With your help, actually. So get excited if you're interested in presenting or being a part of the program. I'll be in touch.
Excellent.
We're going to put you to work.
Thank you.
On item 6, fiscal '25, continue conditions assessments for existing properties and identify funding to repair and maintain those properties, as we've discussed. And all the excitement of building this new facility up on the former golf course and eventually moving into it in about a year and a quarter, year and a half, is that we have several properties that we are going to keep and still stay in. So 195, through sheer dumb luck, just got a new roof, but we want to have some more proactive and meaningful maintenance. Also the library as well, we have an ongoing conditions assessment going on over there that will be fed into our upcoming capital plan for this budget year. And then also funding and hiring a dedicated maintenance professional, something we've discussed. pretty regularly, and upgrading to more energy-efficient systems where appropriate. So if there are systems that are going to go offline, trying to replace those with things that are a little more cost-effective and more mindful of energy use. Item 7, fiscal '25, begin the design phase for the redesign of Route 114 and Route 62 intersection. And then fiscal '26, bid and construction phase for the redesign of the Route 114 and Route 62 intersection. That item, as I highlighted to the select board, and I will reiterate to the public, is contingent on us keeping the $2 million MassWorks grant. So, in the sake of good planning, we have it in there. Obviously, we'd have to change our direction if something different happened there. Item 8, fiscal '25, distribute a quarterly employee newsletter, which would come from the human resources side of things. Jackie, I don't know if you'd like to add anything.
It's as straightforward as it sounds.
Self-explanatory.
And that would be electronically?
Yes, oh, yes.
Number 9, produce quarterly town administrator update videos, which is my least favorite thing to do, but I do recognize it's important. So we're going to go out and try to do that more frequently, potentially in advance of this upcoming special town meeting. And developing a monthly digital town administrator newsletter, something that will work with Chantel up front to help populate on a just monthly basis, to maybe take things like the town administrator updates and put it in a more narrative form with some pictures and things like that to distribute also digitally. And then long-term planning, so this is something that partly came out of my review. These goals are some form of long-term planning, but I think a more substantive document I'd like to compile going through this year and then continuing to update on an annual basis, just showing beyond these broader goals, mapping out over our next 5 to 10 years in a way that's measurable, some goals that the community would like to hit and how we're going to do that. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll probably start drafting that when we get out of budget season. Just thinking of workload, so, but that's something that we will review with the public as well. So is there anything that the board would like to add to this list, or any other considerations they may have?
We'll take a little time to look at it and put it back to you.
You had mentioned, with respect to the current master plan, taking us to the 300th anniversary of the town. Somewhere, we need to decide how we will celebrate that event, and whether it is something that we identify an entity that will plan, but, plan it in advance, so, if there's any, budgetary needs, we have
it.
to put that in the appropriate budget.
Finance Director Wood, as forward-thinking as ever, does have an article for funding that with free cash for this coming spring. We actually talked about it today after we left your office, that
Perfect.
she's already visioning, so.
The excitement is here.
Yeah, we're really excited about it from
But
staff
thank you for the reminder, and we'll incorporate that. And then I'd say if the board has anything else, feel free to shoot it over, and then maybe at your next meeting, you can vote to accept it, and we'll just lock it in for the year.
Justin, you said that was 2028, right?
Yes.
I mean, I can do the math.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. All right, item number 6, we'll move on to it. Review and close the Thursday, December 12, 2024 special town meeting warrant.
At this special town meeting, I think we should, plan a recognition and thank you to the fire department
I agree.
at the beginning.
Full agreement.
There's something that I would ask. I would ask that we hold off on closing the town meeting warrant until after tomorrow's planning board meeting. The MBTA Act warrant article There's two scenarios where that winds up on the warrant. One scenario is that the planning board endorses it and sends it to the warrant, and the other scenario is if it's determined to be substantially different than the town meeting warrant that failed in May. I can't, in good conscience, vote tonight to have that on the warrant, which would mean that I feel that it's substantially different from the May warrant article. I think it's substantially the same, just removing, it's the same building, same zone, same parcels, same purpose, same everything. I just can't in good conscience say that just removing the affordable component makes it a substantially different article, which is the standard that it would have to be to get in this warrant, other than if the planning board recommends we put it on. So I would move that we hold off on closing this town meeting warrant until after tomorrow night's planning board meeting.
Mr. Chair, could I comment on a couple of those points?
Sure.
So the, in reference to there still being an option for the planning board to put forth their own, that window is actually closed as of the public hearing last week on Wednesday, the 13th. So where they didn't continue that meeting and they didn't opt to put anything forward of their own, that is no longer an option. The timelines don't permit for it. In terms of the planning board hearing happening tomorrow, there was an email that I distributed to the board because, Jeff, I'd heard some of your concerns and I'd heard it echoed throughout the community in some other areas as well. And so out of an abundance of caution, I wrote legal counsel, and I'll just read it here verbatim, just saying, J, to confirm based on prior conversations, A, the removal of section 8.8.8, the affordable component, is considered a substantial change. And B, given there is a substantial change proposed in the citizens petition, in the opinion of legal counsel, the planning board may vote at their hearing to either 1, recommend, 2, not recommend, or 3, take no action. The planning board may not, however, quote, block the citizens petition from reaching town meeting with a negative vote or otherwise. Is my understanding on points A and B accurate? So before I get into legal counsel's response, is what I wrote clear?
Yes.
Okay. And so legal counsel responded, Justin, correct. In my opinion, the removal of the affordability component is a substantial change, thereby precluding the planning board from blocking town meeting's consideration of this matter. It should also be noted that even if the bylaws were not substantively different, the planning board is still entitled to allow it to move forward to town meeting. So what that means is, it is substantively different, per legal counsel. However, even if it wasn't, the planning board could still positively recommend it if they so desired based on our charter.
Right, I agree with you. So I would say, I would wait till tomorrow, because, after tomorrow, because if they do positively recommend it, it's irrelevant if it's the same or not, and it can go forward. So I would like to see that vote first. And legal counsel gave that opinion. I can't, in good conscience, agree with that opinion, that it's substantially a different article. To me, it's substantially the same article. I use a scenario, if I wanted to put a factory on Route 114 and I went to, and there was a town meeting article to rezone a portion industrial, and it failed town meeting. And then I got a citizen's petition and came back to put the same factory there and do the same thing, and I just put a little sentence in, no liquor stores will be allowed in this zone. Would that be a substantial change? That's how I look at this, that you can't just change one little thing that doesn't affect the size of the buildings, the type of buildings, what's going to be in the buildings, the exact parcels. I can't agree that it's not substantially the same article. If the planning board chooses tomorrow night to endorse it, that's moot, and I'll be the first one to make the motion to close the warrant with that article on it, but that's my feeling.
So, Mr. Chair, just one more note in response to that. Putting off closing the warrant is a moot point, because regardless of what happens at the planning board meeting tomorrow, the citizens petition is already on the warrant.
The only way they would have to whoever drew it up would have to.
Would have to
withdraw
withdraw.
that at town meeting. And to hear your sentence, I just want to say, I thought the removal of that whole section of the affordable part, I found that to be substantial. I you know,
agree.
people I've talked with, and even myself, knowing that that wasn't in there anymore, you know, was a benefit, I thought was a benefit to people who had concerns so for that end, I thought it was substantial, but I'm not, you know, I'm not a town council, to give you the actual legal determination on, but that was my feeling on it, was, that's what made it substantially different for me. It was you were removing that it had to be affordable, that now doesn't exist in that makes a difference for me.
You know, and once a citizen's, you know, petition, you know, is certified with the right number of signatures, it has to go on the town meeting warrant, even if town meeting can't act on it. And in the annual meeting of 2021, there was a citizen's petition relative to the police chief's hiring. It got the right number of signatures. It had to be on the warrant, but town meeting had no authority to act on it.
That was different because it wasn't a zoning amendment. There was a history in 1994. There was a warrant article when Boston Acoustics was wanted to come into Middleton. There was a warrant article to rezone part of Locust Street so that could happen. That failed at that town meeting. It was then a citizen's petition. Granted, it was worded exactly the same. They didn't take out any affordable or anything. There was a citizen's petition that came in to have a special town meeting, a proper citizen's petition to revote that. The planning board at that time, by a 3-2 vote, voted not to support that article, and that article never went to town meeting because it was a zoning article. And Justin, we just verified that those facts are correct.
Correct, so, mostly. So there was a zoning article in 1994 at the annual town meeting. That was voted down. There was an effort by citizen petition to bring it back in the fall, but the articles were identical. And the crucial difference here is that the articles in that instance were identical, and so it was the opinion of legal counsel at that time, which was a different firm, that where the articles were identical and the planning board voted negatively, that the citizen's petition would not be brought forward. What's different between 30 years ago and today is that these two articles are not identical. There's a significant change, one entire section. It's 8.1 through 8.9. 8.8 was deleted in its entirety, so it's not just changing a word, to and from. It was a substantive change. But once again, to underscore what legal counsel said, even if it was identical, the planning board could vote affirmatively and bring it forward if they wanted to, but that's a moot point because they're not identical. And so while I understand pointing at 94 seems tempting as highlighting something that was precedent setting, the two aren't the same. And that was legal counsel's opinion as well.
Right, it boils down to, as I said, it boils down to if we believe that there's a substantial difference or not. The law doesn't say they don't have to be exactly the same or different. It has to be, is it substantially the same? I think they're substantially the same. Legal counsel doesn't. You don't. I respect your view. That's my view. I don't think we're going to agree on that. I just in good conscience can't vote to have it on the warrant until the planning board makes their decision, because in my opinion, they're substantially the same article. You and legal counsel think there's not, and I respect that.
And I would just want to highlight that my opinion on the matter doesn't really matter in this conversation. It's the opinion that matters is the majority of the select board as well as legal counsel's opinion. Right. Mine doesn't really come into play here. I agree with it, but it doesn't matter.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Sure.
So to Jeff, thank you, and this is a very, very fluid conversation in many towns. I can tell you, the AG's office is standing by what she said. There's no doubt about that. In my good conscious mind, what has been changed on this article from May to now is substantial. That clause for affordability stands by itself. So in my opinion, it is largely different. But put that aside, right now, there are so many other communities that are having special town meetings within the next 3 weeks for the MBTA and the ADU. We are not alone in this. It's not just us. I think a lot of communities that I've talked to thought, oh, we'll wait for the Middleton case. Don't hang your hat waiting for the Middleton case, because the Middleton case was prolonged to be heard, so they had their 103 days to have a finding, which brings you to the beginning of February. That being said, we have to do something on 12/31. In my opinion, I want to close this warrant. We have to close and finalize a warrant. That's a timely thing, and it's a lot of work on the staff in the office. And that's where I'm going with this. We are having a town meeting December 12th. Yes, we're doing it. To me, I want to take a vote and close this warrant.
Can I just make one comment on? It is true that a lot of towns are having special town meetings to vote on this, but the majority of them hadn't already voted it down. Most of those
Yes.
towns, I would say the majority of those towns had postponed it, as was an option that we floated and chose not to do.
But we're not going to get
Okay.
into the weeds, because
Okay,
what's
okay,
the
yep.
topic on
Right.
here
Okay.
is to close the warrant for this special town meeting. Review and close the warrant. And that's what I think we should do tonight. I don't want to postpone it. I don't see the purpose to postpone it. We need to move forward. There's 2 articles on here. Let's just make it happen.
Is there a motion?
I had made a motion to postpone it. I don't know if
Okay,
anyone
I'm
wants to
sorry.
second it.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Wait, who made the motion?
I made a motion to postpone.
Motion to postpone closing.
Oh. So that has to be amended.
It could just not get seconded.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to review and close the special town meeting warrant for December 12th, 2024 at 7 PM. How Manning?
All right, so we want to make it clear, so that Jeff's motion, there's no second
To the amendment.
to postponing the closing of the warrant.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second Deb's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And Deb, if you would
Yep.
give us a roll call vote. please.
Costa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jeff,
No,
Brian,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
Okay, passes 4-1. Thank you. Next item for number 7 is a review and a vote on annual licenses for liquor and common victualler and other commercial enterprises.
I move to approve the alcohol licenses for Dave's Liquors, Mike's Discount Liquors, and Tongue's Taste. Common victualler, non-alcohol for Cumberland Farms, Danvers Fish and Game, Dunkin', 4 Dunkin' Donutses, McDonald's, Richardson Farm, Sumit's Place, and a Precious Metals license to Cash for Gold.
All right,
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. If you would,
Mr. Chair, I apologize. Can I offer a friendly amendment?
sure.
That all of those approvals are pending final checks by the building and fire departments.
Oh, okay.
Some of them have scheduled inspections and not completed inspections. So we won't release the license until building and fire have cleared them.
Okay,
Thank you, if that's amenable.
it is.
And the amendment to the second also.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so we had a
Yep.
motion and a second. Deb?
Costa?
Yes?
Rick?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes?
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
And now I'll move to approve Class 2 licenses for Alba Auto, Auto Choice of Middleton, Cars Helping America, Discount Auto Sales, and RAC Automotive.
I'll make a second.
And I'll recuse myself on those, because I'm one
Okay.
of the holders.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, and Jeff will recuse. Deb, please?
Costa?
Yes?
Rick?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
All right. That's unanimously. Do we have any more here?
No, that's it.
That is it. All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And again, just to make note, so those won't go forward until all the prerequisite inspections have been concluded. You won't
Yes,
miss it.
and for anyone watching, the deadline is November 30th, particularly for the liquor licensees, but for anyone else as well. And if you are a liquor licensee or a common vic holder and you're not submitted to us in the office by November 30th, the late fees ensue. But we'll be communicating with people who we haven't seen yet.
Did we raise late fees last year?
You did, thank you.
Yeah, so I guess we keep that in mind. Okay, now we'll move on for an update on the contract for the Liberty Street Water Main Project bid review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is just a quick update from your meeting back on November 5th. So the final numbers as recommended for that portion of the water looping project came in at $1,057,978.12. It's also highlighted the breakdown between the four lowest qualified bidders from the document on the Weston and Sampson header. One thing worth highlighting is for base bid plus bid alternate B, between the low bid and the high bid, it's a swing of about $270,000. So we're still seeing some volatility a little bit out there and some good distance between what people are bidding. Certainly not like it was a year or two ago, but it hasn't calmed down entirely. But with that said, what we have proposed here is within budget, and so we're recommending that we move forward. You voted in approval already at your last meeting, so I'm just bringing this back as info.
Yeah, and how's the Essex and DeBush project going?
Moving along. So this one will not be kicking off this year, thankfully. The Liberty Street component will start in the spring, but the Essex and DeBush is ongoing, should be wrapped up, temporary trenched going into the winter, and then we'll come back and do a final paving in the spring for that piece. So, and I suppose it's worth mentioning, once again, I can't say it enough, kudos to Paul Goodwin and his team for really, it was a banner year of a summer for them. They had a pretty decent backlog, and they got a lot done, so it's worth mentioning.
They got a lot, and they were under some inconvenient circumstances for a lot of it, too.
Yep.
And a rather green team, a lot of new faces.
True. Okay, thank you. Nothing else on that? We'll go to any updates and announcements anyone wants to make?
I just wanted to say thank you to the stream team on Saturday. They did fall cleanups at 3 canoe landings, and it's, part of, sort of the community spirit where volunteers create and maintain assets that are enjoyable by many in the community. So thank you to the stream team.
Okay. And then on a mention for the rail trail, we recently completed preparation on an area of the trail, Liberty at Maple, and it'll be utilized for a donation brick program that the volunteers will set up and be publicized, made available. Oftentimes you see the bricks and you can have in memoriam, they're lasered bricks, and you can have your families or, in memory of and that type of thing. So that was created. Can't notice it driving by, but any change you notice, that's what that is. So we'll be rolling that project out in the spring.
That looks really good over there, Rick.
And, oh, there's one more thing. When is the turkey trot? Do we meet again before that?
Thanksgiving morning, we will not meet again before
Okay,
that.
so, and again, let's get a shout out to the turkey trot. I'm sorry, I don't have any date and time for that. You guys?
We'll put it out on the website and social media.
Thanksgiving Day, isn't it?
Thanksgiving
The morning?
morning.
Oh, it is the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go, Rick.
The morning
Yep, the morning of
of
Thanksgiving. So that's up and coming, and I guess they were okay to use their usual route.
Yep, it was all cleared with public safety a couple weeks ago.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else?
I do have one more
Go
minor
ahead.
thing. In relation to the Thanksgiving holiday, just a reminder that we are closed the Thursday following Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving's on Thursday, the 28th. That would be Friday, the 29th. In addition, Memorial Hall and 195 will be closing at 12:30 the Wednesday prior.
All right, thank you. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We adjourn.